What's going on, guys? John here with the Fantasy Tap. We got Hugh here for the DFS episode. Welcome in, Hugh. Let's get it going. How are you liking this Sunday night or this Sunday projection so far? Any games you are loving?
Yeah, so we can start off by, talking about implied team totals. We've got 3 over 30 points. However, Kansas City is on the Monday night game, so we're looking at Buffalo, Los Angeles Rams. Those are 31 and 31 and a quarter for implied team total, and then another couple that are up there: Tampa Bay, Chargers, and Cincinnati, that are supposed to score above 26 points this week. Those are some of the teams that I'm targeting.
Yeah, I was really excited for the Vikings Cowboys game, but this Dak news kind of has taken the wind out of that sail for me. So I'm kind of just gonna go with the hot hands here and go with the big point total games and see what happens for me personally. How have you been doing so far this season as far as keeping up and playing well in DFS? You having a good year compared to others?
I'd probably say I'm having a little bit of a down year. I'm playing more of the showdowns, and those are kind of biting me. But I'm leaving Sundays pretty much dead even. Last Sunday I actually had a really good tournament run. I didn't play a lot just because I had family in town, but I had a tournament team score over 230 points.
Oh wow!
It was a Tampa Bay onslaught with Brady, Fournette, and both pass catchers in Godwin and Evans, and then had a couple of other players. Played the Giants, played Uzama in that lineup, and then played Damian Harris.
Yeah, so. I think you sent me that one. It was pretty close to the one that we did on our episode. We just had players that didn't hit big, just didn't hit it all for us. So that was the issue we had. We almost made it into the money, which is a very small bracket for those free games, but we did not beat the bus the week before that, but this week we did. So let's jump into some of the players that we're looking at targeting this week in cash games. Obviously, let's start with the quarterback. Who is your biggest target in cash games for the higher end, and which ones are you targeting if you're going, cheaper, trying to save some budget?
So right now I'm looking at the 2 top ones in cash are Josh Allen and Matthew Stafford. Buffalo is still throwing at the highest rate in the league. And they're going up against, I'm sorry, but a abysmal Miami secondary. I mean, I don't know what your corners are doing back there. They're supposed to be some to the top of the league, but they just made Matt Ryan look like he was 8 years younger last week in that game. And I don't see it stopping for Allen. He's almost averaging 30 DraftKings points a game. So at 8,100, I like what he is. I like what he's going to put there for cash. And then Matthew Stafford, he's 7,600 against Houston. Houston just has another abysmal team. Everybody, I don't know. I think this is why it's just pounding it into my head more to pick Stafford. From what I've talked to, people think that when they get up, they're just going to run the ball because this is just going to be an onslaught. It's just going to be a slaughter. But we haven't seen that yet from this team. We haven't seen them sit on a lead at all. We've just seen them pass and pass and pass. So I'm really liking Matthew Stafford and Josh Allen this week at the high end.
Okay, I like it too. A lot of people were concerned about Josh Allen this week because last time he played the Dolphins, it wasn't the best fantasy day for him. But we got to keep in mind that was a week where Tua went down in the first drive, and then they ended up just handing it off to Singletary and Moss because the Dolphins had no idea what they were doing for the rest of that game. So expect a little more competency and Josh Allen to actually throw the ball a lot more oomph behind it this week. So I'm on board with that. And what about when we get to the lower end or the middle of the pack? Any players that are worth in cash taking a cheaper shot on?
I think Matt Ryan, Carson Wentz, those are your middle guys. Matt Ryan has been able to continue to throw for 300 yards here as of late. 5,900, I like him at that price. Carson Wentz seems to have gotten a grasp with this offense. They have their entire offensive line back now, it looks like. So I just see them trending in an upward position. Tennessee is ranked number 32 in fantasy points against for wide receivers. So I like Carson Wentz there. And then going all the way down to about the bottom of the barrel where I'd like, if I'm going to play, and if I need to, Trevor Lawrence at 5,500 or Teddy Bridgewater at 5,400. Lawrence is going up against Seattle, and their team they have nothing to be afraid of in that secondary or in the defense at all. And it looks like Lawrence is starting to outperform Urban Meyer's horrible play calling. And Teddy Bridgewater, Denver likes to throw in neutral game script. They're just above 50% in neutral game script. So, and a pass rate. And Teddy's getting, I don't think Jerry Jeudy's coming back, but he's got Sutton and Fant, and they're doing well. Washington also gives up the most deep plays in the league. So I like Bridgewater down there at 5,400 if you really need to go down that far.
Now, these cheaper guys, you're playing them in cash? Are these better tournament plays, or are these great tournament plays just as well?
No, I don't. I think Trevor Lawrence might be a good tournament play. I think Bridgewater's cash. I think he'll get you a safe 15 to 20 points. But Trevor Lawrence, I could see that, because you're going to need to think about getting upwards. Historically, this year you need to get above 30 points for your quarterback, just because of what's going on with the Russian quarterbacks. So tournaments, I like. If I'm having to pay down, I like Trevor Lawrence. I like Carson Wentz, Matt Ryan. Those are guys that can get me the 300-yard bonus. Joe Burrow in tournaments I really like. So,
all right,
and Stafford. I think I'm going to stay away from Josh Allen though.
So away from Allen in tournament play, but
it's not necessarily the staying away from him. It's just the price tag. I'd rather play different players at different positions with a higher price tag. So,
okay. All right. Now let's jump over to the running backs. Obviously, we're looking at our guy, Derrick Henry, the absolute monster, sitting at a whopping $8,900 if you want to slot him into your lineup. It's actually a little bit less than last week. I want to say last week he was at 9,100.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's come down a little bit.
Obviously, it was a first game in a while where he didn't have those 100 rushing yards, but he showed off his quarterback accuracy, made himself look great there. Which one of these guys are you looking specifically at in cash? There is one person that I know we both agree on that I think is going to be very hot this week. Going up against the Jets, Joe Mixon. Someone we both very, very much like. Who is the other player that you said is your number two?
So Joe Mixon is my number one running back of the week, and James Robinson is my number two running back of the week. Both are going up against absolutely horrible defenses for fantasy points against and giving up to the running backs. So Mixon's my number one, and Robinson's my number two, and I'd rather be paying for those guys than try and find cheap running backs this week. So I like those guys. Jonathan Taylor, also kind of a good tournament play. I think your choice if you're going to try and play Derrick Henry is, do I want to play Derrick Henry or do I want to play Cooper Kupp? And then from there you decide how you want to build your team. But I think another one that might go overlooked, Alvin Kamara at 8,700. He'll probably come in at low ownership against the Tampa Bay run defense. And then another one that's slated to get a little bit of push and higher ownership, DeAndre Swift at 7,100 against Philly. I just kind of see his ceiling needing to be pushed by Philly if he's going to get anywhere. But the number one running back on the week right now, in projection wise, I'm seeing about 30 to 35% ownership across platforms. Daryl Henderson at 6,500. He's cheap, and you can get some other good players in there. So I'm going to stay away from him and focus around Mixon and Robinson.
All right. I'm going to have to agree with you. I'm I think Joe Mixon's actually my start of the week. I think he's going to be an absolute stud, running back 1 on the week. Very interested with you and happy that you're bringing up James Robinson because I've got him in multiple leagues as well as a couple of these lineups, and I like the confidence boost going into Sunday. Now, Henderson in this matchup, are you still pretty confident that he's going to get the same workload? I mean, against the Texans, is he expected more?
No, I don't think he's going to see any more. I don't see this offense as playing like a Todd Gurley-esque. They're just kind of using Henderson as a a side dish to what they've been doing with Matthew Stafford. I think Stafford has clearly imposed himself as the way that this offense is going to run, and Henderson's just kind of like a side dish to it. So I see Henderson getting value and getting fantasy points, but I don't see the game running through him.
Alrighty there. So if we're playing tournaments, are you taking shots on, I think this guy's going to be really chalky. I think there's going to be a lot of people jumping to him. Kenneth Gainwell with Miles Sanders going to IR. Still a pretty cheap pickup this weekend. Lost him on my board here, but he was sitting somewhere. Oh, he's sitting at $5,000 to slot him into the lineup. That's right around Mike Davis, J.D. McKissick. I don't think you're getting much better value, but the chalkiness of it, there's going to be a lot of playing.
So I'm going to stay away from Kenneth Gainwell. Even though Detroit gives up a lot of their running, I think I'm going to take the cheaper of the two, and I'm going to take Boston Scott over Kenneth Gainwell. Scott saw more short yardage rushing attempts and still saw pretty much the same rushing attempts as Gainwell last week. So I think I could see goal line work going to Scott and having a little bit more of the more fantasy value targets, running back attempts go to Scott more than Gainwell. Another one that I like, last week the Jets just got obliterated in the run game, and if that's any indication as what might happen this week, Samaje Perine at 4,900. I mean, he's not projected to get any ownership, so I mean, he's going to be a good one if you need salary relief. And he's at 4,900, but Boston Scott's 4,400, so I like even going down deep to there. And then if you really want to get weird, he's going to have a little bit of ownership, but not a lot. David Johnson with Mark Ingram getting traded, and that game needing to, they got to get the ball moving some way, and maybe dumping it off to David Johnson, and he sees 5 receptions this week, for 20 to 30 yards. That's 8 points right there, and he gets 40 yards. He's at 12, maybe a touchdown if they can get that far. He gets you 15, 16 points, and so pretty good all the way down to 4,200 if you really need to get there on salary. So I think that's pretty much as far as I'm going to go.
All righty. Now, when we go over to the receivers, we got Houston playing the Rams. Are you all over Cooper Kupp, or are you fading him due to the price?
Nope. This guy is playing at the levels of CMC was a couple of years ago, where Christian McCaffrey was getting $10,000-$11,000 to play him on DraftKings. Kupp's salary is only $9K this week. I think he's worth being $10K. He's on a historical run right now, and it doesn't seem like Stafford and him are stopping. I'll ride that until I see it not continuing. So I'm just going to keep betting on that. It keeps happening.
Yeah, I'm all over that. I do think that, it's just the targets and the catches. The guy's getting more than 10 targets every game this season and has been unstoppable. So I think that's going to be another great opportunity for him. Where else are you going as far as cash games? A lot of names that weren't up here at the beginning of the season have crept their names up to the top of the list. Which ones are the hits?
So I think I'm going to go back to the well and get Jamar Chase in there. Deebo Samuel I like. They're both seeing a large target share from their quarterbacks. I also like – so Mike Evans is going to see shadow coverage from Marshawn Lattimore, and their last 4 excuse me, in the last couple of games, Lattimore has been Mike Evans' kryptonite. He hasn't scored a touchdown, and the most he's gotten was 4 receptions for 84 and 0 touchdowns. He's normally blanked him for a touchdown, and he hasn't gotten 100 yards. So I really like Chris Godwin in this matchup, and I like DK Metcalf down at 6,800. Geno Smith is just finding DK, and I don't think anybody in the Seahawks or in Jacksonville is going to be able to stop him.
Okay.
Another one down there, always just because he gets a large target volume, is Deontay Johnson at 6,700. Keenan Allen, I really like for tournaments this week. The guy is he hasn't scored touchdowns, and touchdown regression has to come at some point in time. So he's 6,500. I like him. Another good tournament play, Cortland Sutton, 6,400. I mentioned that Washington just gives up really deep plays to wide receivers. And then kind of going down, I really like paying down for Emmanuel Sanders, Michael Pittman, $54 and $5,300. And then going all the way down to Cole Beasley at 4,900. I think paying down for the cheaper of the two for that game, because Dawson Knox is out, I think that might bump Cole Beasley getting a little more of the short targets.
Makes sense.
This one's going to be really yucky, but Robbie Anderson, 4,700. The guy's been seeing over 7 targets a game for the last 4 or 5 games. Yeah, it hasn't been there. But volume is king, right? And we look for guys that have volume. And if I told you that a guy is 4,700 and has seen 7 or more targets in his last 4 games, would you take him at 4,700 without knowing the name?
It depends. Are you also telling me that on those, that average of 7 targets a game, he's only gotten 18 catches on the entire season, which is like 3 catches?
No, I'm just telling you he strictly got 7.
Just the targets? I mean,
just the targets alone.
In a tournament play, yeah. If you're doing a multiple rosters, yeah, you should definitely take one where you've got him and Sam Darnold in there, because if Sam Darnold goes off with Robbie Anderson, no one else is going to be playing that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have some consistency everywhere else in your roster, that'll be a good payout. So I will say yes, but no. At the same time, no.
Then you really want to get weird, I'd say Jamal Agnew against Seattle. Again, it's just to bring back, if you're looking at playing anybody from Seattle right there. Very cheap, $3,700. Does well. He's in the return game, and he's carved himself out a pretty good as the number 3 option in that field, or in that wide receiving core.
Yeah, I think that's a good shot. Where are you sitting about LaVisca, or how do you feel about LaVisca or Marvin Jones, the 1 or 2s in those teams?
I'm fine with either of those. I would probably take the cheaper of the 2 at this point. So LaVisca at 4,700. So I think I would take that because Marvin Jones is up to 5,900, and I think at that price range, there's other players that I'd want in that situation that probably present better. I mean, Godwin is 6,400, so he's only $500 more expensive, and I'd rather have Godwin over Marvin Jones.
That makes sense. Let's jump into the tight ends, because everyone's favorite position in football. Actually, I'm going to be honest. I think this year, I haven't looked at the actual point spreads and how they're affected, but I think tight ends have been much better this year than they have in the past 2 years, as far as big games and actually making an impact on your rosters. So which one of these low ball guys are going to be the CJ Uzama of this week and just blow it out of the water? There's no Ravens to play against, so we got to find someone else.
Well, to add on to your point there, that I don't think you've probably thought about this one, but the tight end has actually become one of the optimal players to play in showdowns this year. They have been in the optimal winning lineup for every showdown this year. They've been priced cheap enough and gotten enough points to move themselves into optimal lineup. So just kind of PSA for anybody who plays showdowns and is thinking about Sunday and Monday this week. But
for those out there who don't know, showdowns, and correct me if I'm wrong, those are the single game plays, right? So like the Monday night and Thursday night. Okay,
correct.
I was guessing because I actually was one of those people that didn't know. But
yeah, it's really fun because let's say you have no more. You've got no players in the Monday night game, or you've got no players in the Sunday night game. You still want to watch, and you can put some skin in the game, and you go ahead and you make one of these lineups. It's a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's look at these. Kyle Pitts, obviously, great play. Do you see a continuation?
I mean, he's a good play, but at 6,300, I'm going to go find something somewhere else. I don't want to spend up for that. At that point, you're looking at needing 20 points from him to hit value on his return. I'd rather go pay $1,300 cheaper and play Mike Gesicki, who's still the wide receiver, playing a tight end position. Tre'Davious White will not shadow him, and I think he'll see a lot more. He'll continue to see the same amount of workload that he's seen from Tua. Another one I like. There's three right in a row: Dallas Goddard, Noah Fant, and then Mike Gesicki. So Dallas Goddard's 47. I mean, he's got no more Zach Ertz. He's the only one there. And it doesn't seem like anybody else is very viable other than Devonta Smith for Jalen Hurts. And then Noah Fant, I mean, the guy's just still been getting it done. And he's going up against Washington, and they've just blood points to receiving options. So I like that. And then my next one is paying all the way down for $4,200 for Hunter Henry. It's a revenge game narrative. New England has been using him in the red zone, so he's getting a lot more of the high value targets in that offense. And he scored a touchdown in every game for the last 4 games. So I like that. Ricky Seals-Jones, 3,800. I like a shot on him if you need to save salary. Still seeing 90% of the snaps, still running a route on more than half the dropbacks for Taylor Heineke. So I like Seals-Jones there too.
All right. Can I interest you in someone like a Jared Cook for 3,300? It's been pretty boom or bust the past 4 weeks, actually the past 6. He's gotten a touchdown every other week. Did get one last week, so maybe this isn't the week to play him, but I do feel like he's a cheap enough tight end that does get a little bit of upside. Especially if Austin Eckler is out, they could see themselves passing in the red zone a little bit more often this week. And then someone else I was looking at, Austin Hooper, over the past 3 weeks, has been averaging 8 points per game. It's been somewhat consistent, but is also, what I find the most interesting, was also just put up on the trade block in the NFL for teams to come take a shot at and pick him up. Maybe, possibility that he does continue to see the usage that he's already been getting so far this season, trying to just help them get a little more value for the player. So I actually kind of am interested in that. And he was coming in at, I lost him. I'm sorry, Hayden Hurst. He was coming in at 2,900. I mean, I think that is pretty solid.
If you're looking at Hayden Hurst, I'm going to one up you and go down to Dan Arnold. You asked me who my CJ Uzomah is this week, and my CJ Uzomah is Dan Arnold at 2,800. He's going to see a fairly decent share. He's like 18% owned, right? Probably projected to be owned right now. He's going up against Seattle. He's dirt cheap, and he's used in the offense. He gets about 7 or 8 points on the regular per game this entire year. And if he just catches a touchdown, he's on the right side of that touchdown variance.
Absolutely.
He gets you 13, 14 points. And that's pretty much as far down as I really want to go.
Yeah, if you're going that far, you're saving a lot of money. But no, like you were saying, if you're looking at the prices and the salaries of the tight end compared to a wide receiver that you can get for equal value, let's talk Dallas Goddard at 4,700. At 4,700 for a wide receiver, you're looking at people the caliber of like Tim Patrick, Laviska Shenault, Zach Pascal. A huge upside, but if you throw a tight end into into a different position over a wide receiver to save value in, like you're saying, these showdown games where it's not a set lineup, you're looking at some possible huge point outcomes. So let's finish this up. We've got some defenses. Which defenses are the hottest this week, and which ones do you recommend our people play to make sure they can win some money?
So, I mean, right away, I think the Rams at 5,100 are pretty much out of my player pool this week. I'd like to go down to the Bengals playing New York. They're 3,600. The Bills, they're 3,300 playing Miami. I like them. And then moving on down the line here, I like the 49ers against Chicago as well. And then I like the Colts versus Tennessee. They've been actually producing a lot of turnovers at this point. And then this one is going to get some people. New Orleans at Tampa Bay. I really like New Orleans. They've been able to successfully stop Brady most of the games they play. And they have their entire line back. They got Quan Alexander and their other edge rusher. So their entire line is back. They're probably worth 4 or 5 sacks and an interception. So you're looking at even if the Saints score 30 points, the Tampa Bay Bucks score 30 points, you're still looking at 7 or 8 points from the defense getting 2,500, and then going all the way down to the Washington football team. They're priced at $2,100. They're the biggest matchup for defensive line and offensive line matchups. So I like paying all the way down, but that will probably come with ownership in cash at about 17% ownership. So they're the pay down defense this week.
All right. I'm going to have to agree with everything you just said there. I can't really say much more. Defenses are obviously pretty tightly bundled as far as pricing. So you're kind of just looking for your favorite team that thinks going to be forcing turnovers. Personally, I think my favorite play this week is going to be the Bills. They're one of the top scoring defenses of the league, and we, as the Dolphins, have been turning the ball over a lot lately. And the 2 hot games Tua is coming off of, as much as I don't want to say it, I think it's going to be a bounce back week for us, and we're going to see some crappy play throughout the game rather than just 2 separate plays. So I'm a huge Bills player, but I do also think that that's going to be one of the most highly played defenses of the week, being that they're moderately priced against a good matchup and have been producing well. So
yeah, they're about 12% ownership projected right now.
Okay. Oh, that's not. It's all right. So before we get out of here, let's set this lineup. I'm going to do this thingy right here. Hopefully I did that right. Looks like I did. All right. So we are going to be joining the Fantasy Football Millionaires, 1 million to first. And I already got our lineup set. We can move this defense if you want. But I already knew both of us were going to throw in that running back group. I think we're both big fans of that. So to save us a little bit of time and conversation, play Joe Mixon and James Robinson. Probably the best. All right. As far as the quarterback, now this is a tournament style, even though you can't set multiple lineups, being that there's an unlimited pool.
Let's go Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow? I like that one. Okay. Let's go Joe Burrow. That gives us a Cincinnati mix.
Let's run it with Chase. I want to do an onslaught in this game here.
Okay, so we go Uzama as well?
No Uzama.
All right. All right. Let's look at are you comfortable with this defense we have in right now?
Yeah, we could go down if we need to.
Okay, so we still have an average salary of $46.50 remaining. Still need a tight end, and 2 wide receivers and a flex.
Let's pay down for Dan Arnold, Mr.
Okay.
Postman.
We got Mr. Postman in there. Let's go back to the wide receiver, looking for 2 wide receivers and a flex at this point. Now, I personally don't recommend any of the Jets players as a bring back. There's not a single one that I'm comfortable in. But going down to what our average salary is, we can grab Michael Pittman, who I think is going to be in for a huge day this week against the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, let's do that.
We do not want Clay Raymond.
Let's try and pay down really to somebody down here, and then let's try and I want to try and get AJ Brown in there with Michael Pittman.
Okay, so then let's just do this. Let's just throw AJ Brown in there, and then that leaves our flex availability. We can see what we can get for 3,600.
We might be playing another tight end.
We've got Pat Freiermuth, Olamide Zaccheaus, Jared Cook, Adam Humphries. I think if we want to do this, we need to change our defense.
Okay.
And we could go down to Washington, and that saves us a lot of budget. Unless there's another defense in that lower bracket you prefer.
I'd like to get away from the Washington football team.
Okay.
Do the Saints at 25.
The Saints at 25. All right. Down at the flex. Now we've got our remaining 4,400. That brings us up quite a bit. We've got players like Zach Pascal, David Johnson, Brandon Ayuk. Wow, Brandon Ayuk gets no respect even on name value on DraftKings. I love to see it. Hunter Henry, Jalen Reagor. I think we're down at the bottom of the barrel. Is there anywhere else we can save some money?
Let's get Boston Scott in there at 4,400.
You want Boston Scott? All right, I'll give you Boston Scott. Give you Boston Scott, my God. And wow, that looks like a very solid lineup. Okay, I need to deposit some money because I have been losing some, but we'll do that off camera. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us in for this DFS episode. It was great to have you all join me. Hugh, I always appreciate your time and wasting it away with me while I try to get better at this DFS thing that we're trying to do here. Thank you for all your knowledge, and I really hope you kill it this Sunday.
Yeah, hope you do too.
All right, man. I'll appreciate it. We will see you guys next time. So make sure to tune in for the live stream. That is going to be tomorrow. I believe we're starting at 11 Eastern. Going to be starting early. We're going to include our pets, picks, and parlays into that 2-hour slot. So join in, get your lineup set. And Hugh, if you want to join in too, just just send us a request. We'll throw you in too.
All right. I'll try and make it. I'll try and make it drop by.
All right, man. All right. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. We'll see you guys next time.